the Finnish Refugee Advice Center. Our office is open from Monday to Friday from 10 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Hi, is English okay?
English is fine.
Hi, I really need legal advice. I'm an immigrant in Helsinki, and I'm kind of trapped in a situation where I don't appear to have any rights, and I'm also being subjected to quite sustained coercive control abuse. And
Okay.
I've been told I've been banned due to outside parties' previous fraud. I've been told I've been banned from legal aid here, and had members of legal aid phone me and kind of taunt me about this, and I've also been told that there's an if Y then X rule on my applications that they, and I quote, and I have a recording of this, go to a folder they don't check in very often.
Sorry, I missed that last bit. Could you please repeat that?
They've told me that my applications, and I quote, go to a folder they don't check very often.
Okay.
And it's very difficult because no Finn seems to believe me, and I'm like, I don't, I had to go to contact an American expert in coercive control abuse, and they started crying, and I'm trying to get the I've put in exceptional requests to pay their bill, basically, to write a report to try and help me in the situation. My ex-partner has had me raided by the police by lying to them. She's filed false statements to the court, and it's just non-stop. And I had previously been subject to an illegal eviction by some wealthy Christian Finnish people who found out that I was non-binary and queer, and they used their connections to get me banned from legal aid. And my ex-partner used those proceedings as another facet of their coercive control abuse.
Okay.
And so they sort of obstructed and sabotaged them.
Okay.
She's a psychologist. She's never been my psychologist, but so no one believes me, except for this American expert. And now she's like, I don't know. She's just hammering me with court cases. And she's, due to the previous landlord case, I was subletting from her, and I had a promise of tenure and extended lease. Very kind of, and I'm pretty sure I can evidence it. And they've rescinded that, or not rescinded it. They just don't respond. During their time in landlord, they refused to repair things like live wires hanging out of the wall. Due to the false police statement. On the 12th of February. Sorry if this is coming in a torrent. I'm very stressed.
No, I can understand that.
The abuse escalated from October last year.
Okay.
And it got very nasty. Gaslighting, stuff like telling me that I didn't understand my childhood abuse, and that it was narcissistic to think that I could have a life not defined by abuse.
Okay.
So and then very hot, cold, very just abuse. And we had a loan agreement between us where I transferred all of my illness welfare to her, which was to support me during court and cover a storage unit in Ireland. They had lied to me about paying it, and then in December I started getting final notices, and I was trying to handle the escalating abuse and rages, and I was basically saying that I thought that we should separate as a couple.
Okay.
And or if they wouldn't address the anger issues and stuff, and they apparently had calculated this long in advance, according to them, and they basically told me, deal's off, but you still pay everything. Try and build a new life. and I spent. They wouldn't return my belongings, my property deeds in Ireland, for Ireland, and started trying to convince me my reaction to that was psychosis, which it wasn't. It was just a distress, you know. So that included me begging for my belongings and trying to prevent the loss of my storage unit in Ireland, because it also incidentally contains important legal documents related to a human rights case where I, during COVID, was tortured and subjected to sexual violence by members of the Irish police.
Okay.
So and I was helped escape back here by human rights activists.
Okay.
And so I spent December, January, February begging for my documents, records back. On the 10th of February, I sent an SMS, as part of SMS's distress, just going, why can't you just give me my belongings back? And a series of them. She reported one of them on the 12th of February via a 112 phone call. Emergency, so I don't know how it was an emergency 2 days later. And lied to the police and that she was just my landlord, and I never mentioned the relationship, and said that I'd threatened her and whatever. I didn't.
Okay.
And I have very severe police trauma, as you probably can gather from what I just said.
Yeah,
So
that would be surprising.
I had a standoff with the Helsinki police for 2 hours.
Okay.
And I was, at this point in time, I had, I think, 7 to 8 police complaints against her and requests for executive assistance, because she was directly blocking an appeal in the Helsinki court against the illegal eviction. And they smashed my door in and came in with assault rifles, guns and ballistic shields. And I have a recording of that.
Okay.
And you can hear me saying I'm not resisting, and them saying you are, and me going I'm not, I'm too scared. They didn't believe me. Every time I said my ex-partner, they said, no, you're landlord. And I was like, no, it's my ex-partner. This is malicious. Why won't you guys check the system? You know, I know you have I know they have a computer in the car. I said, like, this is, what's going on?
Yeah.
Basically, they dragged me to Hartman Hospital.
Okay.
And the doctor came out, and he was doing the same, your landlord, and I was like, no, my ex-partner. And so this reached to a point where I was like, can I just have my phone, please? And they gave me my phone, and I was like, so if I can prove that it's my ex-partner, I'm released, right? And the doctor was like, yes. So I had to show him intimate messages, like sexually intimate messages.
Ew.
And then I had to show messages from, like, he asked to see some of the abusive messages from her. And then he just smiled and patted me on the shoulder and said, don't worry, you're going home. And I asked the police, I was like, look, I'm clearly, obviously, visibly disabled. I walk with a stick.
Yeah.
You know, you have interacted with me before over the wealthy landlord's fraud. Like, why did you guys come in so hard? And it turns out that the same corrupt element of Irish police that I dealt with had basically informed them that I was a cop-killing domestic terrorist fraudulently, which is ongoing. So I've had to request attested judgments from Ireland. But this is all like my ex-partner capitalising on.
Yeah.
She, when it looked like I was going to sue her for contract fraud and abuse, she came back. She worked to sabotage every avenue of getting support. A couple of days after the raid, when I'd filed another police complaint, she turned up on my doorstep to shout at me about violent police complaints and use mocking voices for me contacting domestic abuse organisations. I started to get bits and pieces of my belongings back in drips and drabs, but it became apparent that she wasn't going to retract her statements.
Okay.
And we briefly, I was tricked or something into thinking that we were going to make amends, and that there was some explainable reason for all the chaos. Perhaps the divorce that was happening, her divorce. And then it became apparent that it was not. And she was, I suppose, one organisation told me that my situation bore all the hallmarks of being sex trafficked because she had isolated me and controlled all my finances and my access to medicine actually as well, and was just would visit me for sex, or I would be asked to come over and cook for her children. And that sort of continued a little bit into April, when out of the blue, she, in a long signal log chat and on the phone, she basically told me that everything from October in 2023 was deliberate, as calculated as part of her divorce. I do not know how this makes sense, so please, I cannot explain it because it's baffling to me.
Fair enough.
And that she had decided that she was at total war with her ex-husband, and I don't know, I was in shock when she told me, because it meant all the statements to the police were false. Everything. She basically was just something she decided to do as part of her divorce. Considering that when I met her in February, and we reconnected as friends, she told me the divorce was finished, and I didn't find out till October that it wasn't. So it was like there's been a lot of lying. In addition, there's someone told me that it probably meets the hallmarks for rape by deception, because although I'd known the person as a friend for 24 years, when we were looking at maybe hooking up, I requested it. It's just like, you don't specialise in trauma or PTSD, do you? And they said no repeatedly, and via email.
Yeah.
And I was, and they were like, why? And I said, well, because we couldn't have a relationship, we couldn't even have sex, because the balance of power would be it'd just be never viable.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly traumatized. Too much open for manipulation, even if it wasn't on purpose. And so they, I didn't find out until March of this year that they lied and they're an expert in trauma. So I don't really know what to do, and some human rights activists in Germany and England gave me fees for a private lawyer due to the problem with legal aid, and the private lawyer stole the money, and I don't know whether it was him or whether it was someone else that has sort of meddled with Kella. But at the same time, the previous landlord had used contacts in Kella to block my recovery plan from my psychiatrist, who was Finnish, and disrupt my access to welfare, which they attempted to leverage in their very clearly admitted hate crime, because I have audio of them repeatedly admitting in court that it was based on hate and discrimination.
Okay.
And that was their legal right. And I really need help. No one believes me, and I'm like my only reaction to what's currently happening with my ex-partner, the fact that the police will do nothing is to just not eat and wait for that to happen, because I don't appear to have any rights. I've had to cancel surgery because of her. She's subjected me to some additional sort of Munchausen by proxy type abuse, where she's lied to me about the translation of medical documents and obstructed medical care. As part of the loan that we'd worked out, I have a property in Ireland that had needed renovation.
Yeah.
And then she was going to get a very, very considerable lump sum out of the released equity. So it wasn't like a one-sided grifter immigrant thing. And she was getting paid. However, she revealed it again in April that the loan didn't exist, and she'd lied to me, and I was transferring money for a loan that didn't exist.
Oh dear.
And the worst thing is she's very, very she's a very proficient gaslighter. And like she's like, I told you this. I was like, no, no, no. And quite literally, when she put the extension in for the Norwegian loan, she did it on the phone with me. So she pretended on the phone to fill out a loan application, and then and that was like in October, and I didn't find out until April that it didn't exist. And I've tried to draw the attention of the police to this. I'm like, look, this is fraud. You know, I'm registered in an Irish Circuit Court judgment because of the Irish police as manifestly vulnerable due to my PTSD. This is deliberate. I mean, if the loan didn't exist, what am I sending her €500 a month for? And associates or people connected to her have assaulted me. I get harassed in the street due to her defamation. I've friends of hers coming up going, she gave you everything, and gnashing their teeth in my face. I'm completely isolated.
I'm so sorry.
And I don't know what to do, because it's just like I spent COVID fighting a small group of corrupt officers who subjected me to horrific brutality and harassment. And you know, and now I'm like dealing with this bizarre situation. She filed for a false she as part of the ongoing control, she filed for a restraining order, even though like I have repeatedly told her I'm scared of her and all I want is my belongings back. And the statement to the court is so wholly false, and not only that, but grossly evidenced false, that I immediately had to file a police complaint about it and file a bar complaint. And like it's like she tries to rewrite the last 8 years of my life. It's not happening. And like I have court judgments, everything. She has harassed me with bailiffs with fake court papers. So I don't know whether I'm coming or going. I've had to go to the Helsinki court with people to witness it, to be told that the paper's not lodged or anything, it's not real, and then to have them say that the bailiff may not be a bailiff.
Okay.
It's like really off the chart, and this isn't like she's responding like someone scorned Medea. I just used to cook for her kids, and try and get my legal stuff out of the way. And when it started to escalate in October, there's a constant evidence to me going, look, I'll go peacefully. Like, I don't have to do this. I don't want trouble. If we do a structured, peaceful disengagement, like if you found someone and that's what it is, I don't mind, as long as you're happy. But like, you don't need to harm me. And you know, even offering her like shares in the property in Ireland for her to stop hurting me. That was in like December. In October 2023, just was sitting at her table in Hertoniemi, and she just abruptly looks at me and goes, I went, where are you? You know when someone's away in their head? And she just went, I just realised I get to decide whether you live or die.
Ew.
And I was like, what the fuck? And she was like, I mean, I get to decide when you drown. And I was like, what the fuck? She said, never mind.
Okay.
And it's like, it's, I mean, I have this log from the 3rd of April that I've been trying to get the cops to look at, because it's like a study in narcissistic gaslighting, because she's trying to both confess to things at the same time as rewrite the narrative, and at times that narrative and timeline is not even, it couldn't even make sense. Like it's just contradictory, constant. And at one point she's just like, you know, she knew how much I was suffering, but you know, she just didn't think about it. She's like, I couldn't think about it, and I was in shock, and I was trying to analogize what she'd done, because I starved. And I was like, I mean, you essentially decided to go to war with your ex-husband, or soon to be, and threw me into a wood chipper to die, or left me dead, and she just was laughing emojis.
Christ.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm going at every single... And then she's creating these weird, like, fucking... You were too active for me in the divorce. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never met your husband. I never spoke to him. I don't even know what he fucking looks like. I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. You know, and then she's like, I didn't think I could tell you. And I'm like, that is not indicative of anything in the previous year of our relationship or the 24 years that I've read you. What is going on? And she has her lawyer telling the courts that I'm lying about what happened to me in Ireland and the abuse I suffered, and I'm pretending to be a victim to grift money. And then in the same chat, I have her counselling me to contact the Deaconess and other like organisations to begin the process of like I need specialised counselling because I'm a victim of torture, and that she's talking about the fact that I need to contact these people because I'm starving. And then she's lying to the court about... It's like so... It's like a horror film.
Yeah, it sounds that way. In an ideal world, what would you like us to do?
Help me get my rights back, and like I obviously need help with this, and I've basically been stripped of a position in society, partially because of the previous landlord's discriminatory thing, and because of that, like I've an Ullis and a Delaydos after me for money that I paid. I don't, and because it's kind of gone forward and they're wealthy. The guy's brother was a retired high-ranking police officer. Nothing happens, and the police just keep closing complaints. And then I go to Finn's and they're like, that doesn't happen in Finland, then file another complaint. Like, it's not working. I don't seem to have any rights. And they're like, so you do. I'm like, they let me go from custody in Hartman.
Yeah.
Even when the doctor told the cops that I was going immediately, they were shocked and went a little pale. And so it was revealed that she'd lied to them, and they were like, well, if you have a complaint about what happened today, file a complaint. And I said, is it a serious matter if someone lies to the police and it results in an action like this?
Yeah.
And they're like, yes. So then I file the complaint, because obviously I wouldn't have got out of custody.
Yeah.
And this guy called Ansi Enquist says there's no wrongdoing, and I sent him the court judgment from the... They told me, sorry if this is in a torrent, they told me, I was like, what did the Irish cops say to you? They said, well, you have a long history of violence against the police. You hide knives around the apartment to use on police officers. You have hidden armaments to use on police officers. You booby-trap apartments for police officers. And you set petrol traps to burn police officers alive. And I was like, that none of that's true. And they were like, well, this is what we have, and we're going to believe them over you. And I had to go like, guys, can I just appeal to logic here? If any of that was true, would I be here right now? I'd either be in a maximum security prison or dead. And they're like, well, that's a good point. If you have a complaint about it. So now I also have to address that, and I was talking to an English barrister who's trying to look at litigation funding for me.
Yeah.
Like and I just don't know. I'm like, I'm on my own with this. I've lost all my friends because of it. No one believes me. Basically, when I'm talking about it, and people are like, well, you must have done something. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it was the time with the spine injury when I went over and spent 6 hours cooking a week's worth of food for a family.
Yeah. No, I definitely believe you. That is not an issue here. The problem is that our area of specialization in the field of law is narrow, but our expertise goes in deep within that area. And I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, but I'm not sure if with the kind of help you need. Because the thing is, like, you have issues with private individuals and potentially also the police. But we work in residence permit cases and things like that the majority of the time. Sometimes we work in family reunification or nationality applications.
Yeah.
And so basically you need someone who has expertise in ideally in both in criminal law and in family law.
And
And
probably human
unfortunately,
rights.
we do, but we work in a very specific subset of that.
Would you be able to handle the fact that I literally got banned from legal aid?
That if that is that, I mean, we aren't part of the so like we work within the legal aid system, yes, when we have clients who can't pay their own fee themselves, but we are a separate private legal office, so we're not a part of the legal aid system
Like
as
that.
such.
Oh no, I didn't mean that. I mean, like, that's a serious problem for me.
Yeah.
And basically what happened was, the landlords filed fraudulent eviction when there was no rental debt. They lied about rental debt. This is just the very briefest overview. I applied for legal aid and talked to the lawyer. He didn't have, he had an interpreter. I spoke to him on the 20th of February. On the 21st of February, he spoke to the judge. On the 24th, or the 23rd, he tried to get me to admit full liability for everything, even though the landlords had done things like trespass into my apartment while during the rental period, open my private post, talk to outside parties about it, tell people I'm a fucking paedophile, steal stuff, vandalise, threaten, attempted forced entry, and he wanted me to admit that I was at fault for everything after speaking to the judge, and the judge had never spoke to me. And I refused, and then he quit, and then told me no one trusted me in the office, and I was banned. I phoned legal aid, a little while after that, I got this mystery decision from legal aid that I was like, what the hell? Because I'd been told I was banned. And I asked legal aid to contact me, and a guy called Lauri Humanen contacted me. It confirmed I was banned, and told me that the decision was that without speaking to me, had never met me, didn't know my case or defence. The judge had put an application in for legal aid and demanded that the decision state that I wasn't to get legal representation, legal support, and that it was only to cover translation. And an incomplete data request showed from January that the landlord was in private communication with the judge and essentially colluding to create rental debt by disrupting my access to illness benefit here.
Okay, but so I mean, if it was a situation where we had the necessary expertise to sort of like start going through this knot of legal difficulty that you're experiencing, then I'm sure that there would be a way for us to find a way to deal with that. But as I said, we are experts in administrative law.
Okay.
And things like your issues with your previous landlord and those things, they fall within the purview of the district courts rather than the administrative courts. So these are sort of two different branches of the law, and we are really only experts in administrative law.
Can I ask a question there about that?
Of course, yes.
Administrative law also deals with the conduct of judges, right?
Yes, but it does. But as I said, our area of expertise is really, really narrow. And if you want, we offer legal advice in the mornings between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock. And I'm more than happy to give you the phone number for that so that you can call and speak with the lawyer on call tomorrow morning or another day if that works better for you.
Yeah, I think I would probably need,
Of course, that's fine. That's fine.
when I speak into lawyer, I would probably need, someone like you who's actually heard it out, because I have ADHD and PTSD and I have pressured speech. Like, people start to think that they don't believe me, and when they suggest things like you need to appeal that or something, and I have, and then they don't believe me. Like, no, even though I have phone recordings, no Finn believes me. Like, subsequent to being told that, and I would put applications in, members would phone me and kind of laugh about the situation, confirm that I was banned, and that, like, my applications were just disappearing. And I recorded all of that, and I just don't know how to get anyone to believe me.
Okay, now, the thing is this. Though our area of expertise within the law doesn't necessarily align with the kind of issues you're experiencing, my colleagues and I, we are very, very used to dealing with people who have PTSD and other issues which make it difficult for them to explain previous experiences. So in that way, I genuinely believe that if I give you the phone number for our general advice lawyers, as I would call them, they all speak English as well.
Okay.
So that should not be like a linguistic problem either.
And do you do any advocacy? Like, is there any chance of you, like, of your organization trying to help me to get to a sympathetic attorney, because I'm getting hammered, and she's now trying to evict me, which is also being done to like obstruct legal proceedings, both here and in Ireland, as a power thing. She also knows I have nowhere to go, and because she has helped exacerbate the debt that I was in, and the problem with the previous landlord, which I was trying to rectify, there's nowhere I can rent. I'm on the street. And that means I won't. I would probably lose all the important bags of legal documents I have, and I just don't feel like it's like Hellraiser.
No, I don't doubt that at all. But I mean, the thing is, even though, like, there are lawyers who we recommend in situations where someone needs a different sort of expertise than we have, so. Yes, I believe that the lawyers we give advice would be able to at least offer their opinion on which office would be a good fit for your scenario. Because, I mean, a lot of our clients, a lot of the lawyers that we recommend when we contact a case ourselves are other lawyers who have expertise in things like immigration law. But but there are times when we can't take cases when people contact us over them, whether they're written there. There are things like if our lawyers are busy, or if, like in your case, it's an area of law where we don't have the necessary expertise to be the best office to help someone. So we do have lawyers, or we do know lawyers that our lawyer will probably be able to recommend for you. So hopefully that would be a help for you as well. Because I mean, this sounds like as I said, I genuinely do believe you. That is not the issue, but it's also my genuine belief that you would benefit from a lawyer who has the expertise in criminal law or in civil law, which we lack.
Yeah, so I have at one. I keep contacting them and I don't get responses, or I get no's, or sometimes one of them, I don't know why, had a cruelty or something, strings me along for a bit, and then like, tells me there's no case or something, and then it's very clear that they haven't bothered to read the material, because sometimes they do, they blow it off, and sorry.
No problem, take your time.
And they question the existence or possibility of evidence, and I'm like left kind of incredulous, going, but that was in the material. So it's like a recurrent catch for them, because then they don't, because obviously they haven't read the. So and that's rare and far between. Most of them just don't respond.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, I do know that a lot of the lawyers that we recommend, like us, are often quite busy, so it's difficult to get a foot in the door. So unfortunately,
Sorry to interrupt. I meant to say this is important. And so the last judge I was speaking to related to, I when she filed the false restraining order with the thing that said, I they had got that in June and withheld it, and then they got the bailiff who'd previously presented the false papers to present it, so I didn't know what was happening. I got that on the 20th or the 17th. And then I phoned the court. The court told me it wasn't papers, and the bailiff didn't exist.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know what to do, so I went to the court myself, and then I was told the bailiff did exist and the papers were filed. So then I had to phone the judge, the secretary, who told me the judge was on holidays, and he didn't come back until the 22nd or the 23rd. So I was leaving me with 8 days. And when I asked, he phoned, and I was like, I would need an extension. I'm disabled and I need a lawyer. And also, I have filed a police complaint because this is such a glaringly. And he proceeded to, long in a rambling thing, explain to me how it didn't matter if she lied to the court.
What?
And I recorded this call, and I was like, I was like, I think it does. I think like filing a false statement to the court, I'm pretty sure that's like, penal code and judicial code. He's like, no, we'll decide. And I said, but I've filed a police complaint. What? And then I said, I can't get a lawyer. And I started to try and explain the legal aid thing, but he seemed to know about it already, because he's like, oh, yeah, it's the bad blood between you and legal aid. I was like, what? And he was like, well, I don't believe you about not being able to find a lawyer. There's hundreds of lawyers. I said, I asked him repeatedly to assign me a lawyer, and he refused.
I think it's, as I said, I'm not a lawyer myself, and the area of law that we specialize in works slightly differently than your regular district court issues. So I don't know exactly how it works in the district court system, but at least in my experience, in issues regarding the administrative courts, it's not usually the judge that is responsible for appointing a lawyer for a person in administrative proceedings. But as I said, this goes like out of my own area of expertise, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Finn's told me to ask him, and then they told me to email and ask him again.
Yeah. And
because I had to make note of the exceptional situation because due to the legal aid thing. And so it and then I've never heard anything back.
Yeah.
It just went dead. I don't know what I don't know if it ever went forward. Yeah. I don't know, because I also said that I couldn't be in the same building as the person because I was too scared of them.
Yeah.
Because they're unraveling my life on a atomic level.
Yeah.
So I'll take the number. I don't know if you can think of anything. I would be like, I've been on with this on my own since last year.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. That sounds horrific. But anyway, what I do know I can help you with, because I can give you the phone number.
Thanks.
For the general advice lawyers. The number for that is 09 23 13 93 25.
So that's 0923139325.
Yeah, exactly. And that number is available between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock, Monday through Friday.
Okay. Do you have any... I've had... whatever was going on with Kella or with the contacts with the previous landlord, I had them phoning demanding I go to a homeless shelter for the landlord during court proceedings and such, and I don't really know what to do with abuses there either. Or is this everything I should ask the lawyer?
Yeah, that's another thing where it might be worth asking the lawyer, but then I just have to preface that with Kella is a completely different beast, because most of the people that we usually work with,
Yeah.
so asylum seekers and things like that, are people who don't yet qualify for benefits through Kela.
Yeah.
So we aren't as intimately aware of how Kela's logic works. And so most of the expertise that we have with Kela are things that we've done it ourselves, either when we were students and applying for student benefits, or
Yeah.
if any of us have been unemployed at some time in our lives in applying for unemployment benefits from Kela. So that's also somewhat outside
Murky.
our
All right.
core area of expertise. But I would at least think that they might be able to give some sort of idea of how to deal with that as well. But unfortunately, I can't be absolutely certain because that goes outside our own area of expertise as well.
And is there any other organizations or people that you think I should try and like?
Have you tried contacting Victim Support Finland called Riku?
Yeah, they don't believe me, and they've been quite rude to me.
Okay.
And the only exception is whoever runs the internet chat has repeatedly told me I urgently need a lawyer, but then when they phone, they're incredibly condescending and don't believe me.
Okay.
And then they do things like promise to send me their email so I can send them a better detail of the thing, and then they never send the email.
Okay.
So
unfortunately, that was my sort of my main guess.
I would say probably the only way Riku would work is if a Finn contacted them for me. That might be when they believe me.
Yeah. But as I said, that's the main sort of thing I can think of that might be relevant. But yeah, I'm really sorry about it.
Okay, thank you very much. What was your name?
Carolina.
Nice to meet you, Carolina. My name's Fluff.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll be able to find some help, because this is complete sort of like a knot of nightmares.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you
No problem.
Thank you for the validation.
Hopefully my colleague who's a lawyer will be able to help you.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.